Yeah.
Like, is that really what's causing all this?
It's profoundly depressing. And the problem is that we can't really believe anything that our political leaders in the West say. I mean, they have been proven to be absolute crooks, thieves, and liars.
Yeah.
They lie by instinct all the time. And the problem with constant lying at the top levels of politics is that it pollutes the debate completely. You suddenly can't believe anything that's said, and that leads to suspicion of all kinds of horrendous possibilities, including the funding and setting in motion of this ISIS horror.
Yeah, it doesn't help when someone like Julian Assange comes along and exposes all these things that a lot of people disagree with. And what do? They try to get him locked up on some trumped up charges and export him as if they were really trying to export him from to Sweden and eventually to the United States because of some sexual thing that wasn't even,
it seems so bogus,
violent, it wasn't even rape. It was consensual. It was some weird sexual charge.
Yeah.
Like, I think they call it surprise sex or something like that. It's not. They're not even calling it rape.
Right.
It's one thing, like, if there was a woman who was saying, "Hey, Julian Assange is a piece of shit. He drugged me, raped me."
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, send that guy to Sweden. But they're not even saying that.
No.
This isn't a charge that makes any sense. And the fact that this guy's been locked up in the embassy in London for all these years. It's crazy.
It's a very crazy situation.
It's really weird to see, man. It's really weird to see him on television doing these Skype interviews and knowing that he's in this embassy.
Yeah.
And that the moment he steps out of that, they're going to snatch him up.
Yeah.
It's like he's just being protected by some weird loophole.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you could take sanctuary in an embassy. It's an old law.
But you can't leave.
You
He's
can't
going to
leave.
have to dig a hole underneath that motherfucker, like a mile out,
Yeah.
out of the street, and then pop out of a manhole, and then they're going to scoop him up in a car and take him to Costa Rica or somewhere where they're going to honor.
No, we live in a time when they're just constant conspiracy theories. I mean, there's even conspiracy theories about him. That he is part of the problem rather than part of the solution. All of that happens. Nothing is believed anymore, and that the problem that comes from the proven fact that our political leaders are actually liars.
Absolutely.
Lied to us again and again. And how can we trust them? How can we entrust ourselves to them when they behave in that way? What's needed is transparency. What's needed is openness.
Do you think that transparency is going to be an eventuality because of the internet? Do you think
happening?
I think it is, right?
Everything gets blown wide open. It's very difficult to keep secrets.
And it erodes faith in the leadership when, like, is this a democracy? Is this a representative government? Or is it some sort of a weird dictatorship? Because if it is a democracy, how the fuck are you keeping that guy locked up?
Yeah.
How is Julian Assange still locked up?
Yeah.
Because I need to know, please tell me, what exactly he did that you need to export him to the United States. Oh, he released some information.
Yeah, which is our information, we the citizens. This is not, information that should be kept secret.
It's not from a king. It's information that someone who was being paid with taxpayer dollars did a bunch of shit that the United States doesn't agree with.
Yeah.
Everyone was upset by the information that was released.
Yeah.
Everyone was upset by that video, the collateral murder video. Yeah. Everyone was obsessed by this massive amount of data that showed there was a lot of coercion, a lot of lies, a lot of stuff that we don't agree with.
Yeah.
And because of that, this guy's like public enemy number one.
Yeah.
That's so anti what we think of as the United States.
It's completely contrary to everything the United States stands for.
Yeah, completely.
And so in answer to your question, I would say yes, it is some kind of weird dictatorship.
Yeah.
Posturing and posing as a democracy, because for democracy to be real, you have to have complete openness of information. People must be told the truth. Then they can vote and make decisions on the basis of facts. What we actually have in our society is a continual, very clever massaging and management of information. So it ceases to be democracy when the voting public are fed lies on the basis of which they make their decisions and vote. That isn't democracy anymore. That is, and in a way, democracies are the worst kind of dictatorship because they have this appearance of freedom. Yeah. They have this illusion of freedom, and everybody can say, well, it's great because I live in a democracy. At least if you live in a dictatorship, you know you live in a dictatorship, and there are certain parameters that you have to work your way around. But when you live in a dictatorship that is posing as a democracy, it's more complicated.
And it's where a lot of people truly believe and act as if it is a democracy, but at the very top, there's fuckery and manipulation and coercion and money and corporate greed and interests and the military-industrial complex that is funding all of these maneuvers and it's people profiting wildly.
Yeah. And not to forget all the big corporations, big pharmaceutical corporations. All of this is about management of information that we are given. So what the internet offers is the opportunity for ordinary people who are not part of the power structure, not running a big corporation, to take power back to themselves, and that is happening, and it's happening in a big way, and it's very disturbing to the powers that be.
Yeah.